Hey guys, how we doing?
Hey guys,
Joe here.
Kevin.
It's weird not having headphones on right
Yeah,
now.
you guys get a sneak peek into the sexy thing.
Right.
The ears.
That there, right there.
Check out those lobes.
But no,
What you pay for?
That's what you pay for. But no, we recently finished The West Wing.
Yes.
It's been a weird week thinking about everything that we've witnessed, right? Because obviously it's spent 3 years.
3 years. We went through,
this.
from the very beginning. We spent 3 years watching The West Wing. There were times I wanted to binge it. I'm going to start watching it again probably around Thanksgiving. I'm going to rewatch the entire show.
Yeah.
Minus a couple of episodes that I feel aren't really necessary for the story and weren't my favorites. But for the most part, yeah. I look forward to going through it again.
What I'm planning on doing is kind of going back and cherry picking episodes, because I've had so many episodes going through my mind recently, just kind of like my favorites and kind of like when I close my eyes, what do I think of when I think of The West Wing? And I've got a handful that are up there right now, and I'm going to use those for my top 5 when we talk about that. Just because I feel like I can't sit down and make a list of like the definitive top 5 because I know it's going to change.
Well, yeah, I mean, I made a list, but obviously that list, if I sat down and made it a week later, would be a different list.
Totally.
There's so many great episodes. I mean, there are 155 episodes of the show, and I'd say there are maybe 3 or 4 that I'm like, nah, okay.
Yeah.
And that's it, which is a pretty great run. There are most shows you can't say that about, right?
Exactly.
There even shorter run shows usually have more clunkers than that, and this show just didn't do that. As ambitious as it was, that's really hard to do because it is a super ambitious show.
Every single season was almost unassailable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think season 5 might be the only one that I was kind of like iffy on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was skeptical going in because so many people told us to be. I did not mind season 5. I thought there were moments that weren't as strong for sure, and there were definitely some beats where I was like, okay, but
I think it's because it was that transition season.
Of course, I mean, Sorkin is a unique voice. Like, I don't think anyone's going to argue that point. So trying to keep rolling like that and expand on the storylines that have been set up with the same characters and the same style that you've done very successfully for 4 years under completely different leadership. That's not easy to do without a bit of a stumble. I didn't think the stumbles were that big. For me, the biggest thing of what made season 5 clunky is the transition away from Rob Lowe into
with
Josh Malina.
Yeah.
And I thought Josh Malina was fine. I didn't like the route they took with him to become kind of an adversary with
Bob Russell.
Bob Russell. Once he went to work for Bob Russell, all of a sudden he's an adversarial force to all of the characters we love on the show.
Yes.
And I was like, come on, man, this character was set up so much better than this.
Well, you see, exactly. I loved Will. I was okay,
me too.
I was okay with him kind of taking the reins from Rob Lowe at first because we spent. Well, I don't know if we spent more time with Will, but it kind of felt that way.
I don't know. It's hard to say.
Obviously, love Sam. Sam Seaborn, one of the great TV characters.
Yeah, I wish he never left the show.
Yeah,
I'm being completely honest.
I just liked the flavor that Will brought, I guess, you know what I mean?
Sure.
And I kind of gravitated towards his character more. We're not comparing the two. I'm just,
Comparing the two, I was more of a Sam guy, but that's just me. There's no right or wrong answer.
I really enjoy Josh Malina. I don't know
Sure,
why.
no, I do too. I like Josh Malina a lot.
And I did start following him on Twitter. He just seems like a really fun guy.
No, I think Josh Malina's a really cool guy, and I think Rob Lowe's a really cool guy. As the characters, though, I really liked Sam Seaborn on the show. Maybe it was just, primacy bias or whatever, but him being there for those first 4 years, it was hard to say goodbye. I didn't like how they wrote him off in that it's like, I'll lose my race and then come back, and then he was just gone. Yeah. I'm like, can we get a sentence about that?
I was going to ask you how you felt about Sam's story leading to his exit. You know what I mean? How you felt about that? I
like the idea. I like, if you're going to write him off, I think having him reluctantly run for this congressional seat that he's going to lose is completely fine. I was like, I like this storyline. It's an original way to write somebody off. It's not like he's chasing money or something else, right? It's a noble way he leaves the show. But then it's like, well, they said multiple times, like, I'll lose the race and then I'll come back. And then he doesn't come back, which is totally fine. Circumstances change. Sure. But can we get a 20-second explanation maybe of why such a central character didn't come back?
And like, with the behind the scenes of it all.
Sure.
Obviously, I think was it NBC, right?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, he
There was
did.
a
I don't think
dispute
he
over
left
money.
on great terms,
Yeah.
right? Which is unfortunate always in these situations.
Kind of amazing that he actually came back in the final season.
Yeah.
Which I love to see him again. Like seeing him again, I was like,
all
yes.
was forgiven, and it was one of the biggest shows of all time. It's probably pretty easy to be like, come on, man.
I'll come in for an episode.
Yeah, I'll be back for a couple episodes.
I will say I did think his exit was probably better handled than Toby's. I loved season 7, but I really hated how we kind of put Toby on the back burner, and I think Richard Schiff kind of feels the same way as well.
I you know what? I expected to like it less because I knew people had said Richard Schiff does not like how Toby was handled in the last season.
Yeah.
So I was kind of like, he's one of my favorite characters on television. Period.
Absolutely.
Let alone just this show. So I was really dreading that.
Yeah.
I didn't end up hating it as much as I thought I would, but I still was like, I don't like him being completely on the outside of everything for most of the season.
I will say that with him being on the outside from everything, I think it led to some of our best Toby moments in that season.
Some of the moments really worked. They did, but I mean, like, he is one of your 4 or 5 big stars still on the show.
He's a superstar, yeah.
By the end of the show, right? And we gave Josh and we gave CJ so much grace and control and prominence on the show in that last season.
They took the reins.
And I was like, I don't feel like Toby should have gotten any less treatment than those two characters as the characters, right?
Yeah.
And he did, and that's going to always kind of bum me out a little bit.
What sucks is they kind of wrote him into a corner a little bit, but like with so much to resolve in the last season, it's like you have the campaign stuff to deal with.
Yeah, so some things were going to get backburnered. Some characters were going to have to. There's just too much to do in the season 7 where it's like they could have cut the West Wing out completely and just focus on the campaigns if they wanted. They really had to work sometimes to get the actual White House into the show in the last season. For obvious structural reasons, the thing we all cared about was the campaign last season.
Exactly. And, I could have taken more Toby. I also could have used a little more Bartlett in the last season.
Right.
But I get why. It makes sense. If you're going to sideline anybody, I mean, ironically, it has to be Martin Sheen's character because we spent a ton of time with him. And I mean, season 3, season 4, that was his show. Because I always felt like Josh was the main character of the show.
No, I think it's Josh's show. I will always think it's Josh's show.
I feel like during Bartlett's campaign, though, we spent so much time with Martin Sheen. And also doing with the MS stuff, he really did feel like the star there for a little bit. And that's what I loved about season to season. It did kind of feel like different characters kind of came to the forefront. And towards the end of the show, CJ really did also kind of rise,
Yeah, she did.
And some of our best episodes, CJ episodes.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, she's a reason she won most of the Emmys. Yeah. she won a lot of it. Everybody did. Like John Spencer won at least once. Brad Whitford won. Richard Schiff won.
Yeah.
Alan Alda was the only one that picked up a performance Emmy for the last season.
Really?
In supporting actor. Yeah.
The only one.
Yep.
Was Jimmy Smits nominated?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Jimmy Smits was absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
And if they were going to continue the show as well, I would watch it because of Jimmy Smits too, because he has such a great presence.
I mean, it's hard to say. It always depends on who the competition is year to year on what should or does win.
Sopranos are probably
right. I always hear, I was like, how do they not win an Emmys? Oh, because this was on. Oh, okay.
Fair enough.
Fair enough.
At least they were nominated.
I forgot Bryan Cranston was winning every year at this point or whatever.
Crushing it.
Right. So I'm going to ask you this. Character that kind of like, we had Mandy.
Yeah.
And then we got the character who goes to Mandyville, which applies to not just The West Wing, but all TV shows as a pretty common phrase now.
Yes.
As a character who gets unceremoniously written off with no explanation from a show. Mm-hmm. I'm glad Mandy was written off the show. I thought she was a weak part of season 1. I'm not attacking Moira Kelly. She's had a really good long career. She's still a good actress. But the character Mandy and how it was used in the show, it was clearly set up to be a romantic partner for Josh.
Yeah.
They had zero chemistry.
And ultimately, I feel like I just found her annoying towards the end.
And I really feel like that's the writing. You know what I mean? I felt like she was kind of like Josh Molina, when he was working for Russell, she's there to be an adversary for all of the main characters, to argue with them about, well, what about how the politics look on every little thing they did. She had to be the pushback, including on pushback on things that are morally right. You know what I mean? Let's give money so kids can eat, but what's that going to look like to the Republicans? Or whatever. Yeah. So like, it's not her fault, but by design, that character was like grating sometimes, and they get to the end of the season like, okay, this didn't work.
It is kind of funny how they just wrote her off, honestly.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. What recurring character, what small term character on the show. We're going to leave out Sam.
Okay.
Obviously, Sam is a character that's like, I wish he didn't leave the show.
On this show that just disappeared? Or just in any show?
This show. On this show, what character was only around for a little bit that you wish had stayed around?
Ainsley.
Ainsley was the top of my list.
Or Joe.
Or Joe. Ainsley and Joe were also mine. I don't know how you use them. You don't always need, lawyers on the show.
Joe, I'm like less upset about.
Sure.
He
had like a 2-episode arc.
Yeah, because it's like, I get it, right?
You're right.
But Ainsley, like we spent some time with Ainsley.
Yeah, Ainsley had a run of episodes where she was pretty significant.
And I don't know if he would count, and I don't know how you'd work him into the show, but I would have loved to see John Goodman again.
Yeah.
He was amazing.
He was great in that short amount of time he was on the show. Absolutely.
That's what made season 5 so awesome at first. Was like
right.
we had that crazy situation, and then like
sure.
you have him kind of headlining the episode. You're like, whoa, who's this guy?
We definitely had big stars. You're like, please come back. Like I would have loved to have had more Alan Alda on the show. Besides just that the run that he had on the last season. I guess he was introduced in season 6, but still, it would have been really, really nice to get some of those. But yeah, I think Ainsley is the character that, obviously she had to leave. I'm glad they don't always do like big explanations of why characters go. There's a lot to do on this show, and there's a lot of characters on this show, and there's only so much time you can devote to some of these of like, hey, why haven't we seen Ainsley Hayes for a while or whatever. But definitely Sam, an explanation of his departure would have been nice.
Yeah. And it's like I said, I'm glad we get to see him at the end there.
Sure, absolutely. So sorry, Maria Kelly, but her career didn't end. She went on to do a lot more work as well. So it's not like she suffered for.
We saw her in a Firewalk with Me. She was in the
yeah she was. So she got to go do other things.
Yeah.
All right, let us go top 5 episodes. I wrote down my list, understanding that they would change. What's your 5th favorite episode? We'll end on number 1.
Okay, 5th favorite episode. This might be controversial. I love the episode where CJ goes home.
That's controversial.
I know, and it's like the thing is, I loved it when we first saw it. It was such a nice change of pace for where we're at in the season, and I understand if people don't like it, and they don't want to watch that rotation. I totally get that, but I found it so emotionally resonating.
Sure,
and I love that was kind of like the start of our like CJ centric episodes, and I wanted to spend more time with her. I loved her dad. Her dad broke my heart in that episode. Matthew Modine was good to see him as well. Yeah. It was just a nice break, and I have watched it again since we watched that episode, and it still hits for me.
Yeah, that would be on my list of episodes I probably won't rewatch because of the departure from the narrative, along with a couple of the documentary style ones that we had on the show.
That was my least favorite.
There were a couple. There was one that kind of followed CJ as a press secretary. There was one that was just kind of about what it's like to work at the White House that had a lot of interviews interspersed with clip. It was a clip show. Yeah. And those I can absolutely skip. But yeah, that one is definitely not. I will do an honorable mention real quick. My honorable mention that almost made the top 5, The Supremes, the Glenn Close and William Fichtner
episode.
Was a great episode.
Season 5.
It was a little pie in the sky that like this kind of compromise to get these two people on the Supreme Court would never happen in real life, but I don't care. The writing was so good. The dynamics between the characters were so good in the dialogue, and the idea that maybe put people on the court who just really care about the Constitution instead of what their partisan positions are. Wouldn't that be lovely?
You would think, right?
That is not the world we live in, obviously.
Yeah.
But I loved it. But my number 5 favorite episode, let me see if I even say this right. I'm going to say this wrong. Passe Comitatus, episode 321. The end of season 3. That is
Mark Harmon.
Yeah, that was when Mark Harmon gets shot.
We had the same number 5.
Okay.
That was number 4. I mean.
Okay. Well, that was my 5. Mm-hmm. That's also where we meet Richie. That's crime.
I don't know.
The War of the Roses play. Yeah. I thought everything was done really well in there. It set up the combative nature of their campaigns moving into next season, and just the conversation between Richie and Bartlett
was amazing
about like what should the level of debate be in a presidential campaign. I thought resonates really well throughout time.
Absolutely.
I loved it. I thought that the writing was exceptional.
I totally agree with you. That's why it's my number 4. And when I close my eyes and think of the show, like there's just like certain scenes that kind of flash. the cover of Hallelujah.
Yeah,
With CJ just kind of walking through the street.
Where she got popped by on the shoulder by the extra walking by, and it just you felt it. Like that was an accident that stayed in the episode because you felt it because she was so broken.
We've had so many gut punches on the show too, and losing Mark Harmon's character. Oh my
Simon.
gosh, Simon. Yeah, that was such a.
That was rough.
I'm getting kind of choked up just talking about it now. It was such a great scene.
Okay, well that was your 4. Did you say your 5?
Yeah, 5.
Oh, that's right. Sorry. All right. Well, my 4 then is Life on Mars, and that was the Joe Quincy episode.
Okay.
With Matthew Perry, where he's the one who he figures out.
This is the first one, right? Because we got him twice, I believe.
Well, no, this is second. First one is him getting the job. Okay. This is the one on his first day on the job where he figures out that Hoynes is having an affair. It's the Hoynes resignation episode.
Which season is this one? 5, I believe?
No. It's 4.
4, okay.
Towards the end of season 4.
Okay, gotcha.
But that was a really exciting to watch from the perspective of an ultimate outsider, which is what Joe was. His first day, him figuring out, working all the way back through, and figuring out that the vice president had broken some laws and they were going to have to fire him, and then the firing ultimately of Hoynes, I thought was exceptional. Good storytelling.
I thought Hoynes was kind of underrated on the show.
He was great.
Every time we got him, forgive me,
Tim Matheson.
Yeah. I was kind of giddy because he really he played vulnerable when he needed to, but he also was like swarmy, appropriately so. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there were times I felt sorry for him because I felt like a lot of the grief he took was because Jed Bartlett didn't like him personally.
Totally.
I felt like there was some pettiness directed at him. You shouldn't have made me beg, to make me, and so he tortures the guy for the rest of the show, which is petty. Was Hoynes a good guy? Absolutely not. But he seemed like a really capable vice president.
Yeah.
He fell on his sword plenty of times and helped out the administration. Yeah, he was sneaking underhanded plenty of times too. But I feel like anyone in that position is.
Well, also how they evolved his character towards the end. I mean, because whenever everyone was gearing up for the campaign, there's that scine where he goes to Josh and he's like shot and there's like smoke behind him. I'm like, they make him look like a villain now. You know what I mean? They really had him turn heel.
Yeah. What's your number 3?
I really wish I would have wrote the name down in the episode, but it's when they get lost on the campaign. Toby, Josh.
Like in Indiana.
Yes.
Yeah. That was the 2-parter, like on the trail or something.
I'm just gonna kind of like combine those as one episode.
Sure, absolutely, right. It's one story arc. Yeah.
I thought that's like the perfect example of like the humor coming through on the show. You know what I mean? Because it is compelling, first of all, and also like at this point we knew that like Bartlett was gonna win again, obviously, because we were like in season 3, and it's or 4,
3 or 4,
3 or 4, and it's like. Of course,
I think it was early 4, but yeah.
Of course, he's going to win, but still, you felt the pressure of it all.
Sure, it ends in the attack at the University of the Swimmers, and the plan to make college tax deductible, which actually happened in the real world under Obama. I thought it was utterly fantastic.
And also, what I like too is like of the times that we see in the show is they get to like actually interact with real people. Mm-hmm. It kind of helps make the show feel legitimate,
right.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Because, the show came out.
Matt, I can't remember his last name.
Matt.
The guy at the bar that they met who wanted his daughter to go to Notre Dame.
Yes.
Matt something. Doesn't matter.
Escaping me, but right. That was an amazing scene.
Yeah.
But like, the show's 20-some years old, and like the fact that like the show feels like it could come out today.
Right.
The only like things that really signifies the show is like a period piece is like the cell phones.
Yeah, there's a lot of political stuff.
Sure.
Like this is a much more quaint time in American history than we're living right now.
Totally. But yeah, all that stuff really helps fill the show out for me. So, all
right.
Which is 3?
For me, 3, 17 people. The one where Toby figures out that Bartlett is not planning on running for re-election and without anyone having to tell him. The cold open, it was my favorite cold open of the entire series, where Toby bouncing the ball and spending days in his office kind of playing through like what, how we get to that point where he knows the president's not going to run. Yeah. And then we have the reason, and Toby getting to actually be the one character on the show that gets to confront Bartlett about lying about the EMS.
Yep. And
Toby being the perfect character for that because he's often a moral foil for the president.
He is.
And the conversation they have about not just the dishonesty of it, but the thing of like, well, with nobody knowing, all of a sudden what, you're in the hospital under anesthesia and Leo's running the country.
Yeah.
Unelected Leo is running America in the Situation Room because you're hiding this. It was a great episode.
But what I love about that too is that like that Toby is the same Toby we get in season 7. He
Sure.
has stayed consistent all the way through the show. I love
Great
that he is
character,
somebody
yeah.
to push back the president.
Yeah.
I wish we could have got a little more of that in the later seasons. But yeah, I think that's a perfect example of it. You're right.
Your number 2?
Dead Irish Poets.
That's a good one. I thought about putting that on my list too.
It
honestly,
is fantastic. That scene with Toby and Lord John Mayberry. I can always
Marbury.
Marbury.
Lord John
I
Marbury.
always butcher his name.
I can't believe I forgot him. He is my favorite recurring character.
Isn't he amazing?
He's amazing. Always great.
Every time
Gerald!
he shows up, it's a surprise.
Yeah.
You're like, what? And you just get excited. But the scene with him and Toby at the bar,
Yeah.
I think about that
Yeah.
at least once a week. You know what I mean?
Talking about the history of the conflict, of the troubles.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's I thought about it right after we watched The Name of the Father recently. And it's emotionally. I mean, like I said, a lot of this is like kind of based off emotion for me too. So
That's
like,
okay.
Whatever's
You're allowed to
emotionally
emotionally react to these television shows for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So like I'm a sap. So so it just hits home every single time. And I believe that was the first time we met his character as well. If not, we saw him briefly before.
Sure.
Because that was pretty early on.
Yeah, it was later. It was later.
What?
We'd met him before.
Okay, yeah.
It wasn't his first time.
I think that episode is in season 2 though. So that was. I believe so. I could be mistaken about that.
I'm not sure what season it was.
We did watch it a while ago.
Yeah, it's been a minute on a lot of the early seasons.
And it's easy to kind of bungle all these
absolutely.
episodes up together. But yeah, that was a banger when we watched it. It still hits home today.
Yeah. All right. Number 2.
That was number 2.
That was number 2. I'm sorry. I should have a list in front of me. My number 2 is a lot of people's number 1. 2 Cathedrals.
That's my number 1.
Which is obviously an exceptional episode of television. You have on a television show that had hundreds of great monologues. You had probably the best monologue in the entire show.
Yeah.
I feel like Jed Bartlett at the church. Denouncing God partially in Latin, with his flashbacks to his youth with Miss Landingham, putting out the cigarette on the floor himself in the church as an act of defiance, the death of Mrs. Landingham, spurring him to decide to run for re-election again. It was shot really well. It was exceptionally written. Obviously, the performance from Martin Sheen was utterly incredible.
Yeah.
It's one of the best episodes of television ever.
Well, that's why it's my number 1, because it's, well, one, I was raised Catholic. We always bring a lot of our own baggage to films, TV.
Right.
And so it really did strike a nerve with me in the best way possible. And Mrs. Landingham is such a warm, loving character as well. For that to be the straw that breaks the camel's back for Bartlett to go have basically calling out God,
right,
lighting the cigarette, that scene with her and being like, Charlie, you want to see my new car when I come back?
Oh my God, that was
God.
It was like, we have one happy thing happening on the show, so of course that's going to be the ultimate nightmare.
The flashbacks I think we needed more of because of how good they were.
Right.
The writing I think is maybe, like, if I was making a list of my top 5 Sorkin written projects, it would be on there.
It was really well written.
I don't know. Whenever we first saw it, I was like, well, clearly that's the best episode. I was like, it's the highest high a television show can kind of aspire for, and it blew me away. And I think about that overhead shot of Bartlett looking up.
Right.
It's what I think of when I think of The West Wing, man.
Yeah.
It's a perfect episode of television.
It was great. My number 1 is more for personal reasons.
Okay.
Just because of how I have reacted to it, and that is episode 10 of the first season, the first Christmas episode, in Excelsius Deo.
Yep.
That's where the homeless guy freezes to death in Toby's jacket.
Yeah.
It was emotional all the way through for me, that episode.
One of the best things about the show were the Christmas episodes. We kind of did away with them as they went on. On my honorable mention list, I was going to put the Christmas episode with Toby's father.
Yeah.
And it kind of makes me think of how many of the best Christmas episodes and episodes in general like kind of revolve around Toby themselves,
Yeah, the season 2 Christmas one with Josh the Bells, where he's dealing with his PTSD from the shooting, was high on my list as well of great episodes.
Season 2 had a lot.
Yeah,
Season 2 was phenomenal.
Season 2 really hit its stride really well. I mean, it was a great show from the beginning, but like a lot of the shows, like The Bear has a great first season, but you get to season 2 and it's like, holy crap, this is one of the best things I've ever seen. And it was kind of like that on The West Wing too.
Get a little bit more money and a little less studio interference. Like, just do your thing, you know.
You know what you're doing. Run with it.
Well, can I ask you what your favorite season is?
God, it'll be recency bias. It'll probably be season 7.
Yeah.
Although I think season 6 was really good. I thought season 2 was really good. I mean, it's a great show all the way through.
That's kind
it's
of
hard.
It's 7, 6, and 2 really stayed out for me.
Yeah, for sure. So, like a lot.
I did love 4 as well, though. 4 was phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, there were some storylines I was like, meh, I could do without this. Thinking back on it now, I enjoyed it while we were watching it, but the Zoe Bartlett kidnapping storyline and everything, I was like,
ask you about that.
I was like, in retrospect, that would seem like kind of a reach on a lot of it. You know what I mean?
I was going to bring this up because I was going to ask you how you felt about that storyline, because I think about it a lot.
Yeah.
Does it feel slightly like they jumped the shark just a little bit?
A little bit. Not bad. It wasn't
not bad.
Like
it's well done.
Yeah.
It's really well done.
And while you're watching it, you're into it. Like
totally.
So it really does work. But it's one of those things we think back on The West Wing. It's like if there were a couple of moments you're like it's
kind of a different show.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
It kind of like becomes a political
24.
thriller. for a couple of episodes, which isn't really my thing with this show or what I expect from this show.
Yeah.
I just think they were looking for some big way to end a season. You know what I mean?
And that's the last thing that Sorkin wrote for the show.
Yeah. And he left it open-ended so the new showrunners could do whatever they want with it. I thought they did fine with it for what it was, but yeah, by the time we had like dead Secret Service agents and Zoe's missing, and
I do think about John Spencer running at the end of
yeah,
that season.
no. Again, it's not bad at all. It's just not up to the same level, I think, of some of the more intellectual storylines, totally. Of the show.
Yes, I think that would be an episode to kind of like, well, the season 4 finale and the season 5 premiere are kind of like episodes you want to cherry pick.
Sure.
Just because they are super watchable, but it fits weird in the rest of the show.
It's a different show.
Yeah, totally.
With all of that going on. Like I thought there were worse episodes. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, 100%.
I thought the Cuba episode was kind of a train
weird.
wreck. Yeah, in season 6.
That was the one episode in season 6 that I just didn't click with.
Right, that I thought like I don't know what we're like. It felt like they had a lot of ideas. They're like, let's just dump them into like what is it they called like the Friday's trash day, where you just take all the news stories you don't like and dump them on Friday because you don't care what they write about them. Yeah. That's kind of what that episode felt
almost
like.
Almost like a filler episode, sort of.
So much.
I mean? Like we need another episode. We'll just put all these in here.
I thought there were a couple of things like, Bartlett ending the conflict in the Middle East and Toby saves Social Security in one day. I thought, okay, we're reaching a little bit here.
The Middle East thing was wild.
Yeah.
That felt like a bit of a shark, jumping the shark as well.
A little bit, just because like pragmatically, it's like you're not going to negotiate this to being done.
And then ultimately you kind of forget about it because that culminates in like Toby, or not Toby,
Leo
having his heart attack.
Right.
And that kind of overshadows everything. Yeah. And you're like, oh my gosh,
Yeah, I mean, it's... What I would have really appreciated, and again, I have no power over anything, and I'm not saying I'm right, but what I personally would have liked is a real earnest effort to solve it, and they failed because that's what happens. Yeah. I know it's an optimistic show, but if you're going to try to solve the crisis in the Middle East as an American president, you're going to fail. I mean, they all do.
Yeah, and they stuck with it for longer than I thought they would on the show. Honestly, I mean.
Yeah, they made a run out of those episodes because wasn't like Donna's bombing and everything. Yeah,
and we lost John Amos's character that episode too.
That was rough, wasn't it? Fitzwallace. Admiral Fitzwallace. Yeah,
but it did give us Jason Isaacs on there.
I
thought Jason Isaacs was awesome.
Yeah, he was a really good correspondent
for sure.
But yeah, but again, this is all nitpicking.
Yeah, totally.
This is clearly one of the greatest television shows of all time. No one else reacts to it. We get a lot of people saying that,
which is crazy.
I don't think it is.
Really?
I'm the one who's reading most of the YouTube comments. We get a whole lot of people on the right who want to come in and just I don't know if they're hate watching or what, but we get a lot. It's a political show. So it's going to be a polarizing show. So most reactors, obviously, who are doing much bigger numbers than we are going to stay a mile away from something like this.
I gotcha.
This show will never be reacted to by most reactors because of the politics are so polarizing. And all I can say to that, if any of you are watching who were upset that like we compared the show to the world we're living in, that's how art works. I don't care if you're listening to a Bach concerto. If, you look at art in the context of the world you live in. That's what you do, and how you feel about it. We watch Breakfast at Tiffany's. There's no way you're watching Breakfast at Tiffany's and not looking at it and saying, "Oh my God, what is Mickey Rooney doing?" Yeah. You know what I mean? And so us saying like, wow, look at the state of the world we're in now versus the state of the world of what the show is. That's what people do when they watch it. That's why they watch it again. It's not a historical document. It's a work of art.
I don't know how you don't compare it to this. You know what I mean? It's just involuntarily.
No, you do. You absolutely do. It's why Veep canceled because it's like we can't parody the actual world we're living in.
I guess to those that want to argue with us, are you just watching for argument's sake? Then?
Well, some of them are. We've gotten the TDS comments, and we got the "How dare you" mention.
You've told me a few, and
yeah, there was one guy who was really upset that we mentioned Trump at all after the Charlie Kirk shooting, even though the episode he was commenting on YouTube he had watched 5 weeks before that shooting happened. Not that it matters, because I think most people can agree, right, left, or middle, that a tragedy like that, and it is a tragedy. Political violence is not okay, ever, period. It is a tragedy, but that doesn't mean that the government all of a sudden can't be criticized. Like the First Amendment doesn't exist anymore because this horrible thing happened. That's not real. That's not a thing. I cannot believe that has to be said, but people need to be willing to be able to speak up on whatever they believe. Nobody threw Trump in jail when he, for the year plus that he said that Barack Obama is a secret Kenyan terrorist. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do I think that was okay for him to say? No, because it was obviously completely dishonest.
And these are the First Amendment people to begin
right,
with.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, they die on that hill. And
that was completely dishonest, but he's an American who has the right to say his completely dishonest thing. The free speech doesn't work if people are only free to say what you agree with.
Totally. They have the right to say mean things about you.
Yeah, exactly.
And what I'm most bummed out about is the fact that the show is ending when it's ending, because I feel like politically we are in a very charged time, and it's rough out there right now, man.
There's quaintness to it now, when it's like, the people, talking about like, whoa, somebody says something like, that's going to end his political career if he says that. I'm like, you have no idea. I mean, like, Hoynes having an affair into his chances of being president.
Small potatoes now.
That's nothing. Now you brag about that to get yourself elected. Now you have people who will say, well, at least he can get hot women. Vote for him. Who's that idiot? He's in the Rogan sphere, the one with the mustache that used to be an MMA fighter. You know what I'm talking about?
Brendan Schraub?
Yeah, that guy.
Okay.
I cannot stand a thing that, when his mouth opens, I want to put a sock in it.
You're not the only one.
Oh my God. I
can't. Comedian's dog on that guy.
I cannot stand that guy. But I remember him saying, like, before the election, like, I'd vote for Trump because he gets it. I'm not going to say the P word. But that's what he said. And I'm just like, I can't believe that people take you seriously.
I know.
They shouldn't. But
I think that he's definitely like a punching bag in that community itself.
Sure.
He was an MMA fighter who just kind of became a comedian, and it's like...
And he's not funny. He's ultimately not funny.
He's not Rogan.
Right. But he's still a person, and as a person, he gets to say that kind of stuff, right?
I believe in
that. Me or no one else...
I wouldn't say it, but
right, me neither, but me and no one else gets to tell him to shut up, right?
I 100%, man. Like, nobody's arguing that at all.
I mean, you can say, here's why you're wrong, and I've got a long list of reasons I would say that. Totally. Just as vehemently as he gets to say his stupid thing.
Yeah.
But everyone gets to call it stupid. Everyone gets to say what you've said is not okay, whether you agree with it or not. It can't be the idea that, well, what you say is okay. Brian Kilmeade, we right now have the cancel Jimmy Fallon thing going on, right? For whatever.
You mean Jimmy Kimmel?
Or Jimmy Kimmel, I'm sorry. Yeah, whatever dumb thing he said about the shooter being a MAGA or whatever. Who cares?
I watched the clip. It seemed pretty tame. It didn't seem like it was crossing any lines, really.
It was pretty tame. But Brian Kilmeade, the same week on Fox News, said we should euthanize homeless people. If you're mentally ill and homeless, we should be able to involuntarily give you lethal injections. And no one's calling the same people, right, who are saying pull all the licenses for anyone who has anything bad to say about Trump. The same people, none of them have a problem with that. And I think that's more vile. I think that is very much encouraging violence against homeless people.
It's disgusting.
Yeah, it's absolutely disgusting. But again, he has the right to say it. Now, Fox has the right to fire him, just like ABC, I guess, has the right to fire Kimmel. But that doesn't mean anybody's free speech rights are gone, nor should they be.
It's a bad look for Disney.
It's a bad look for Disney.
John Oliver said it pretty well this week, actually.
I didn't watch it, but I saw that he had
the clip where he's talking about, like, I think history's going to look back and think that, like, nobody in this administration is going to look good in history, but who's really going to look bad is people that, like, were his yes man. The people who gave the bully the lunch money. And I think he said that very well. And
I haven't watched it yet, but I need to watch it.
I'll let you watch it. It's a good episode. But yeah, we're in history has been being written right now.
Yeah.
I guess ultimately, don't be on the wrong side of it.
Yeah. Anyway, the whole reason I bring this up is to get to the point of what we're even talking about.
They've stopped watching a while ago.
Right. The reason this show still works is you have to put it in the context of the world you live in now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just like any art you watch, right? You want to watch a 1950s musical, you need to be able to put it. It's not just, yay, they're singing and dancing well. It's how does this resonate with me and why? And this show resonates with people because of the state of American politics.
Absolutely.
Whether it's going well or whether it's going poorly, that's what matters. We watched Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, I think, in high school. I don't know if it was the whole thing or just part of it, but it wasn't because, oh, look how cute Jimmy Stewart used to be.
No.
It's think about the context of the world we live in with politicians not really having the shame not to lie. You know what I mean?
I mean, we watched that when I was a kid, and if it made me feel something.
Sure.
That's what, like you said,
That's
with
the point.
all art, you're supposed to have an emotional response.
Absolutely. Anyway, land basis in the comments, all you want. That's your free speech right. We're not blocking anybody. No. We may not respond to you, and we may respond with "What are you talking about?" But we'll do it. All right, we'll catch you in the next one, guys. Thanks so much for being here. We will start the newsroom soon.